Many new types of electric trucks have entered the market recently, giving consumers more choice than ever before. But which ones are the best? Well, today we'll be taking a look at 15 of the best electric trucks in the world. Number 15. Bollinger B2. The Bollinger B2 is probably the coolest out of all the vehicles that we're going to take a look at today. And that's no accident either. The company specifically set out to design an EV truck that looked like it could take on the world, and the results speak for themselves. But it's not just a looker, it also has top-notch performance, including 614 horsepower and 688 pound-feet of torque, as well as a range of 200 miles and a towing capacity of 7,500 pounds. Yet we're talking about an EV that performs as well as a lot of regular vehicles. The Bollinger B2 is also designed to fit plenty of cargo on board, with a load capacity of up to 5,000 pounds. You can even adjust the suspension if you need a little extra ground clearance. Yeah, there's a reason why they promote it as the world's most capable pickup truck and say it might be the last truck you'll ever buy. The downside is the B2 will set you back a hefty chunk of change, being priced at $125,000. Still, it's worth it for the performance you'll get, and it's especially well suited to people who need to move large objects. Thanks to its patented full-length pass-through, you can carry an insane 16-foot-long piece of cargo. Number 14. Lordstown Motors Endurance. Endurance by name, endurance by nature. This impressive EV is brand new for 2022, and it comes from an all-American startup. Because of that, there's a good chance that you've never heard of it, which is a shame. It's even relatively affordable, available now for pre-order starting at $52,000. One of the interesting things about the Endurance is that it's reported to have fewer moving parts than any other vehicle. It also uses 4 electric motors that are fitted inside the wheel, allowing them to power each wheel independently. Put together, those motors can deliver a more than respectable 600 horsepower. The Endurance is able to tow loads of up to 3,400 kilograms and achieve an impressive range of 250 miles on a single charge. It was deliberately designed to be smarter, safer, and more productive for work, although it's worth noting that the company is said to be experiencing financial difficulties. And because there aren't as many moving parts as some competing vehicles, that also means that there are lower maintenance costs. And so if you're worried about money, it's a good option. Number 13. Hercules Alpha. The Hercules Alpha project is said to have Pininfarina, the Italian fashion house, on its side, and so the hope is that the final product will look amazing. It's certainly true that there's plenty of room for improvement on the initial designs. It's not that the Alpha looks bad, it just doesn't look much different than a lot of the regular trucks on the market. But there's nothing wrong with that, because it's all about what's beneath the hood, and we're talking about a badass EV with some decent performance. The Hercules Alpha will be available with your choice of 1, 2, or 4 motors. With the 4-motor version, you're able to reach an output of 1,000 horsepower. It's expected to travel distances of up to 350 miles on a single charge, and it can accelerate from 0 to 60 in 4 seconds. Now that might not outpace a race car, but it's not bad for an electric truck. The Alpha can carry over 1,000 kilograms of onboard weight and tow up to 5,600, which makes it a pretty impressive chunk of machinery. The downside is that it's not due for release until 2023, with the price tag set at around $100,000. Number 12. GMC Sierra Denali. The GMC Sierra Denali is the 3rd General Motors electric truck, and it uses the same technology as the GMC Hummer and the Chevy Silverado. An interesting thing about this one is that it specifically targets premium customers, and it's only sold with a Denali trim. Officially known as the 2022 Sierra 1500, this quirky but powerful EV starts at $56,800, though you're more likely going to be looking at around $70,000 if you want all of the add-ons. The good news is that as well as being a great-looking EV, you'll also be able to tap into some impressive performance. That's because the regular Sierra Denali offers a maximum horsepower of 420, with the ability to tow nearly 10,000 pounds. It also has the world's first 6-function multi-pro tailgate and more cargo bed volume than any other truck. Of course, that's for the regular Denali, and so it remains to be seen what sacrifices, if any, they make for the EV. But with more news coming out all the time and a projected release date sometime this year, this one's definitely earned itself a place on this list. Number 11. Nikola Badger. If nothing else, I love the Nikola Badger because of its name. As if Badgers weren't awesome enough, the Nikola part comes from Nikola Tesla. You might have heard of another EV company with a name that's inspired by Mr. Tesla, and we're looking at you, Elon. The Nikola Badger has only recently been announced, but the good news is that it's pretty much ready for release, and it's definitely one to try to get your hands on. In particular, you'll want to test out their claims that it has over 900 horsepower and a range of 600 miles. Because of that, the Badger is one of the highest performing vehicles in its class. It can even tow loads of up to 8,000 pounds, making it more than capable than almost any other vehicle at most of the metrics. But there's a problem. Due to some complicated legal mumbo-jumbo and the licensing deals between General Motors and Nikola, the goalposts have shifted, and GM is only going to be providing Nikola with fuel cells. Because of this, it's unclear whether the Badger will ever enter into commercial production, but it's still one to watch though. Number 10. Neuron EV T1. The Neuron EV T1 is a tricky one because there are precious few details about it out there on the market. Even though the company is gearing up for the full release, they've remained fairly tight-lipped about the vehicle and its specifications. Part of that comes down to their marketing and messaging strategy, which is all about trumpeting its real-world performance. Their idea is that there's no point bragging about the amount of horsepower that it has when they could instead focus on what the vehicle allows you to do. Perhaps the most interesting thing about the Neuron EV T1 is that it uses a modular design. The idea is for Neuron to essentially provide the basic platform, along with a range of different modules that you can add and remove, depending on how you plan to use the vehicle and what functionality you need. It's unclear of how many of these different modules will be on offer, but the premise itself is pretty sound, especially if they're affordable. Potential modules are said to include camper tops, the standard pickup bed, and a dump truck high wall bed. Number 9. Tesla Cybertruck. Let's be honest, this is the vehicle that most people think of first when they start to think about electric trucks. That's mostly down to the fact that it's manufactured by Tesla, and that people are obsessed with Elon Musk rather than because of the merits of the vehicle itself, though. To start with, there's the design, which is one of those where people either love it or hate it. That's because it's so different to what we're used to seeing on the roads, taking inspiration from movies like Blade Runner. The Cybertruck was supposed to be on the market already, but the small matter of a global pandemic, along with a number of other delays, has pushed it back to the point at which you'll be lucky to get your hands on one before the end of this year. Still, we definitely shouldn't write it off, and given that the single-motor version will start at just under $40,000 and have a range of 250 miles, that's not a bad deal. There will be 3 different models up for grabs, with ranges of up to 500 miles and a 0 to 60 time in under 3 seconds, depending on the model. Number 8. Nissan Titan. Nissan is no stranger to electric vehicles, with the Nissan Leaf being a notable early player in the EV market. They're now set to enter the electric truck market with an all-electric version of the Titan, a pickup that they sell in the United States. For them to achieve this goal, they had to draft in some help, and you might recognize the company that they're partnering up with, Hercules, the company behind the Alpha. In fact, the Alpha design owes a lot to the Titan, so it seems to be a partnership that works well for both parties. According to Bloomberg, the plan is for Nissan to procure batteries and other electronics from Hercules in exchange for sharing some of their own parts so that Hercules can build the Alpha. It's an unorthodox approach, but it's not unheard of. In fact, Ford has already partnered with Rivian and GM has already partnered with Nikola. The Nissan Titan EV is still unconfirmed as far as we can tell, but it makes a lot of sense and could represent a huge opportunity for Nissan. As with quite a few of the vehicles in this emerging market, we're just going to have to wait and see. Number 7. Alpha Wolf. Alpha is yet another startup in the electric truck segment, and the chances are that by now you've started to notice a theme. Nothing quite says America like a pickup truck, and nothing says disruption in the truck industry quite like an American startup. The Alpha Wolf is quite different to most other of the electric trucks on the market, if only because of the way it looks. Instead of going the Tesla Cybertruck route and trying to make something super futuristic, Alpha Wolf is doing the opposite and trying to make a regular truck that uses electricity instead of gasoline. There are 2 different versions of the Wolf, a single cab version and an extended cab version. The good news is that both of them are set to be fully electric and allow a range of up to 275 miles on a single charge, as well as a 0 to 60 speed of 5.9 seconds. You can expect the Alpha Wolf to set you back around $36,000, making it one of the most affordable electric trucks on the market, and its relatively small size means it won't look out of place on European roads. Of all the vehicles on this list, it's arguably the most suitable for U.S. export. Number 6. Canoe electric pickup truck. When is a pickup truck like a watercraft? When it's a canoe. Well, all puns aside, this electric pickup comes straight out of LA and is another vehicle with a more futuristic design that challenges our assumptions about what a pickup truck should look like. The good news is it still has all of that versatility and adaptability underneath the hood. Compared to some of the other electric vehicles on our list, it doesn't perform particularly well, with a range of only a couple hundred miles and a payload capacity of 800 kilograms. It can also only carry 4 people, although the good news is that there are rear-wheel and all-wheel drive models in the works. Pre-orders for the Canoo electric truck started last year, and it's set to reach the market pretty soon. That's good news for EV fans who don't like to wait, especially if they're taken by some of the Canoo's additional features like onboard storage, workbenches, and charging points. The pickup is the third vehicle that Canoo has worked on that uses the same platform as a basis, and so in many ways it's also tried and tested. And if the basic truck isn't quite big enough for you and you need more, the Canoo also includes an extendable flatbed that can offer a much larger payload capacity. Number 5. Atlas XT. The Atlas XT is a full-size electric pickup truck that uses an electric drive system with a motor on every wheel. That helps it to offer greater performance and greater control over the way that the vehicle performs. One of the most interesting things about the Atlas XT is that it has a range of up to 500 miles when it's fully charged, and the manufacturer also says that it uses new battery technology that gives it a faster charging time. In fact, they claim it will only take 15 minutes, and then it will only take 5 minutes in the future. That kind of speed is so crazy that it's hard to tell if it's even possible. But Atlas certainly seems to think so. That makes it a great EV for pickup owners with range anxiety, and it's also reasonably priced at just $45,000 for the starting price. And if that wasn't enough, there are also a bunch of impressive performance metrics, such as a power output of 600 horsepower and a payload of up to 2,200 kilograms, with a towing capacity in excess of 7,700. The manufacturers also expect that each vehicle will be able to travel up to 1 million miles over the course of their lifetime. Number 4. GMC Hummer EV Pickup and SUV. Now we're talking, considering that a lot of people think of Hummers as being the quintessential truck. The EV version is bound to turn a few heads, and to even get the most die-hard truck fans thinking of going electric. The great thing about the Hummer EV is that it has the power of a major company and a big brand behind it, rather than it being one of the startups that are untried and untested. There's also the fact that there are 2 different variants, the GMC Hummer EV Pickup and the GMC Hummer EV SUV. If you want to take your electric truck off-road, then you're gonna want the Hummer EV, because it's specifically designed to do just that. The SUV has a lot of same features as the pickup, but it's designed to be a little more accessible and for road travel. There's also the fact that GMC didn't forget about comfort, and so you're sure to enjoy traveling and getting to your destination in style if you decide to give the GMC Hummer a go. It actually provides the perfect mixture of practicality and durability through impressive features like its durable all-weather flooring. Number 3. Ford F-150 Lightning. The Ford F-150 Lightning is one of the few EV trucks that are market-ready, and considering that it's being released by a brand that's already a global behemoth, I'm willing to bet that this one vehicle will be enough to give Ford a significant market share in the years to come. Ford's regular F-150 pickup trucks have been America's best-selling car for 40 years in a row. Note that I'm not talking about the pickup truck market, I'm talking about the car market as a whole. That makes the decision to release an electric version even more interesting, because if the F-150 Lightning Electric can take over sales of the regular version, we'd be in a situation where America's most popular vehicle could be all electric. And it's not as though the Lightning will cost you an arm and a leg either. It's set to be priced at around $40,000 and should have a range of around 300 miles and up to 560 horsepower. We already know that it's going to be a big seller because Ford's CEO has confirmed that they've taken 200,000 pre-orders. Number 2. Chevy Silverado. We're working through the big hitters now, and because we've already had a Hummer and a Ford, it's time for us to take a look at Chevrolet. The Silverado is basically the vehicle that Chevy hopes will be able to compete with the F-150, but if I had to choose between the two of them, I'd take the Chevy. Well, having said that, the Silverado isn't due to enter production until next autumn, and maybe I'd take an F-150 for now, and then exchange it once the Chevy hits the streets. It might also interest you to know that Chevrolet is owned by General Motors, which is also behind the GMC Hummer. Because of that, the EV Hummer and the Silverado will be built in the same factory. Well, whether or not that's a good thing really comes down to your point of view. The Silverado is set to include a four-wheel steering system and have 660 horsepower beneath the hood, as well as an estimated driving range of 400 miles. It can tow weights of over 9,000 kilograms and accelerate from 0 to 60 miles an hour in 4.5 seconds, and it even has a Google Assistant built in. Number 1. Rivian R1S and R1T. Technically two different vehicles rather than just one, the Rivian R1S and R1T are so closely related that it makes a lot of sense to group them both together. These trucks are able to travel over 300 miles on a single charge, and customers can boost that by opting for the $10,000 max battery pack. If money's an issue though, then you can save over $5,000 by going for their Explore package. But if it was up to me, I'd go for the Adventure package, because that includes a bunch of goodies like a wooden interior trim, high-end audio system, and ventilation to go with the heated seats. It's not bad, especially for an extra $5,000. And yeah, it's no surprise that most of Rivian's customers have been picking out the large battery pack and the Adventure package. Both Rivian models are currently in production and are due to ship soon, if they're not on the roads already by the time that you watch this video. So maybe it's time for you to go ahead and order one. Thank you to our channel members.